And okay, here's what we're starting with. A bunch of tubes and some various bits of plumbing pieces. We've got these little kind of angles. We've got these caps. We've got these adapters, 2" to 1.5. We've got some 1.5" pipe. We've got some 2" pipe, and we've got a whole bunch of these longer bits that I'm going to cut up into lots of little bits. See? Little bits, like that. Haha. Okay, let's start with that. Now, we're going to do one thing, which is to cut little notches into them like so, just about 1 inch or so back. Let's hold on that thought. Now next, we're going to use my trusty Dremel here to take these thin tubes and make a notch in them about let's say, fuse width, about 2.5 inches in. Something like that. Dremel, 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 with Dremel I will play. Dremel, 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 okay. So in the end, I only needed 5 of these, and I had to bail on the Dremel. I ended up using my bandsaw because the Dremel quickly gummed up with melted plastic and sent smoke into the air. Now, truth is that may happen also to my bandsaw blade, but take things as they come. Okay, now what I've done here is I've made the notches. I made a whole bunch of these tubes over here, lots of them with these notches, and like so. And now you might be able to see here that right at the tail end of it over here, it actually gets a little bit narrower. So what I did was actually just ran the bandsaw all the way in up to the point that I wanted, the purple mark, and then I ran it again just a little to the side, but not all the way down. And the idea there, let's see how well I can video this. The idea there is I'm going to be able to ultimately put these inside and see how the bottle rocket is going to run inside this thing, but the fuse, so you do this all while videotaping, the fuse is going to kind of ride outside of it. Ooh, that's maybe not going to work. Okay, yes, good. I kind of faked it there. It's going to ride outside, like so, just a little bit where it gets snug at the end, right? So I can kind of tug it in there, and that's going to hold the rocket in place, so it's not going to tumble out, or at least, not easily. And that's going to keep it in place, but it's not going to stop it from burning, right? So we're ultimately, when we go and fire this thing off, we light that fuse. The fuse will burn right past that little snug bit. In fact, it'll burn itself out of the way. Like the rocket isn't encumbered in any way. It's just kind of held in by that little snugness. Okay, let's keep that thought in mind. Okay, now we're into the part of my show where I need to show things with both hands, and so the phone is in a vise, sort of. Anyway, so what do we got? We got all our tubes here. We've got 5 of them with the notches that I want in them. Right, I've cut these notches into them, and they're very nice. I think you can see, make sure you can see that. Right, so each of them has got, you can see a little purple dot at the base of each one. Right, so I've got these, and they've just got a very nice notch. You won't say they are Buenos notches. And again, so what we're going to do is we're going to take those, then I'm going to take 2 extra pieces here. I'm going to put them in here like so, because when you grab them all together, what you really want is 7. Like, to make a perfect hexagon, I would have 7 of these, but I don't have enough to make I don't actually want a perfect hexagon. What I want is for all of these notches, right? So here's what I mean by the hexagon thing, right? If I had them all together, so I've got these 2 extra little separate cut-off pieces, right? Perfect world, perfect mathematical world, you end up with sort of a hexagon shape, like so. I don't actually want a perfect hexagon, where I sort of do. I want the shape of it, but I want part of it to be clear, and I'll show you what I mean, like cleared of obstruction. So here's my perfect hexagon. I'm going to take this piece, which is just actually a short little dinky doodle piece. I'm going to push that back. The center one also, I'm going to push way back. And I'm going to grab it around the middle, and try not to knock my phone down, right? So when I've got things the way I want them, I still sort of have that hexagon shape, except these 2 pieces are pushed way back. Now, why? Well, let me spin these notches around so they all face the center. Okay? All right, so I'm going to... Some of you are probably going, oh. Right, there. So I think you can more or less see it. I'll tighten it up. If you see inside here, if my camera would focus a little bit better, then you'd see what we got going is all of those notches are now facing in towards the middle, all right? Which means when I put rockets inside them, all their fuses are going to be pointed in towards the middle. I'm using those extra 2 pieces, right? These 2 guys back here, these 2 guys back here to hold the shape. And now I'm going to have this kind of cylindrical arrangement of 5 of these rocket tubes, and all their fuses are going to be kind of gathered into the same spot. Let's hold on that thought. Okay. So what I did was I put them all together like so, like I said, with those center pieces in the center, the notches down the middle. I hope we can still see that. Right. So we've got that happening. I found out that it's really easy to, when I'm trying to use the painter's tape to hold it all together, and then I'm going to use the glue gun to glue gun it, right? So one thing I discovered, though, is it's nice to, one way to keep those notches in the center is just you remember that these lines where we've cut through with the bandsaw just all have to point in towards the center. It's easier to do that than to try and kind of peer down inside and try to, make sure they're all there. You just look at the ends and just make sure all these cuts are radial into the center. Okay, so that's what's going to happen here. Then we're going to get into some other stuff involving some spray paint, including pink, because I have a little girl who loves pink. And we're going to do some stuff with that and those bigger pieces of PVC we were talking about before. Okay. So here's our thing. It's a horrible gluey mess. So my phone just tumbling over sideways. All right, just a delightful, sticky, icky, horrible thing. But it doesn't matter because we're not going to be looking at this. Why are we not looking at this? Because we're going to be using this. Now what's this? This is the 2-inch pipe that we've got. This is a really weird camera angle. You guys are very patient. All right, so here's our 2-inch pipe, which I have cut a sleek little curve in the end of, as per like so. Now, why would we do that? Well, we're going to take this guy, and we're going to make sure that this kind of funky short tube is at the bottom, and he's ultimately going to live inside here. So it's going to have this sort of, when we're actually deploying it in the field, this is what you're going to see as the mouth of our gun. Just a little bit of exposed there, which is going to look really cool when we turn that silver. Okay, and what we have here now are our 4 or 5 different ones with a little bit of spray paint on them, and this is going to look a whole lot better in a few minutes. We'll get there in a minute. Okay, and fair to ask, what the heck is that, right? What's going on with this thing? Okay, this is more of the PVC pipe connected together. This is going to be the handle, right? So it's a cap, which I spray painted silver, the body, which is kind of this weird leopardy, incomplete Jackson Pollock-y black. Why? Because I ran out of black paint as I was doing it, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish them all, so I decided let's roll with it. So all my little handles here have kind of got this wacky, incomplete-y kind of feel to them, but that's that. Okay, so how does that all come together? Well, that comes together like so. Let's get these all right. La, 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 la. That, and here is the barrel of this thing. I'll explain what those little decals are in a moment. So roughly like this. I'm not going to jam it together just yet. Saw this before. Pardon the dog chasing the thing upstairs. And roughly speaking, there's our bottle rocket gun. Something to that effect. Now let's see if these decals work the way I was hoping they do. Oh please, oh please, please. May the gods of decals be with me. Oh, it's not too bad. So I had spray painted on each one of these things, each one of these tubes, a stripe of some color. And then I put the decals down, carved them out, hit it with the black. Let's get that off here. Get this last fellow off, like so. And I've got a similar set of decals down the other side. That's kind of fun. And that's what we're up to here. Let's see how it works. And there we have it. That's what we've got. The designs are just kind of spontaneous, whatever I could think of at the moment kind of designs. I'm happy enough with them. I got the kind of swirly one here for Ren. I go to less pink. And I like the kind of snub nose look they've got with the barrels kind of peeking out from underneath this hood. And the handles are just good enough. I feel like a little bit like they're reminding me of blasters from Firefly, but I'm not really entirely sure. My visual memory isn't that great. Now, these are not going to last because, among things, we have to take a flame and put it up underneath here. Now, hopefully that flame ignites the things very fast and doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it's going to get carbonized and a bit ugly there pretty fast, I think. We'll probably get one night's fun out of them. The other thing, too, is that this is, of course, spray paint onto plastic PVC pipe. That's not going to last. It scratches off rather easy. But we're just trying to have some fun and just trying to shoot 2020 in the ass on its way out.